It's Brian Preston, the money guy.
Natish says, does it really make a difference if I invest lump sum versus dollar cost averaging for long-term investing? So he probably hears us talk about dollar cost averaging all the time. He's like, guys, does that really matter? Is that even something I should worry about?
Oh, man, this is one of those things where you want to get people upset. Talk about either prepaying your mortgage or you talk about lump sum versus dollar cost averaging. This is the frothy stuff that us financial nerds get excited about. Here's the way to do dollar cost averaging right. First of all, I have to put the low-lying fruit. The majority of us, whether it's through employer plans, your retirement plans, or it's just because as you earn money, you get paid every 2 weeks or monthly, I want you to take advantage of dollar cost averaging on automating your wealth building. That's the first given. But there is a little bit of the art that goes in and intersects with the analytics of math when you come into a windfall or have money come into your situation and you're trying to figure out, do I throw it all in at once or do I just, put this in over a few months? Let me tell you the things you need to be thinking about. First of all, what's the size of it? The materiality to your net worth. And this is going to vary by your actual total. That's why I like people doing those annual net worth statements so you can know, hey, what's actually important and size-wise to me and material versus what's something that's just not that big of a deal. So if you're a person that has a seven-figure portfolio, say $1 million, you come into $50,000, hey, you're probably going to just lump sum that in because as a percentage of your total portfolio, it's not a huge deal. But if you're somebody with that same $50,000 comes in and you're worth $100,000, you might say, hey, I want to put that in over 6 months, and so that's why the size of what comes to your possession does matter. The second component is time. We have done a lot of research on this to figure out what's the overall impact of dollar cost averaging versus lump sum. Vanguard's done research on this.
Whole study on it.
And when they were looking at these trailing 10-year periods and looking at the performance, they found out that because you're putting this money to work, typically within 10 months, 12 months, that's when we come into a large lump sum. You don't want to go much beyond 10 months because then you are getting into the negative of dollar cost averaging, the fact that markets make money 8 out of 10 years. So if markets make money 8 out of 10 years, you can see that there's already a assumption or a default that lump sum is going to be better than dollar cost averaging. But if you can do it 10 months, you can see that now you've brought that time period down. What's your real exposure? Vanguard came in at right around 2% total. 2 to 3%. It was like 2 to 3% total. So you can imagine, and I'm talking about total return over 10 years. To me, that would lend itself if we were coming into, think about if you sold a business, you sold some land, and say it was life-changing money. You came into $500,000, you came into $1 million. By all means, I'm probably dollar cost averaging that over a period of time because you know what would really stink? You get this lump sum, this money that's going to change your life, and then the market loses 25 to 30% the month after, the 2 months or 3 months after you received and invested that money. Think about those things because the biggest part of what you're trying to do with investment plans is make sure that, like I said, you're getting the psychology as well as the analytics right because they're all oftentimes in conflict with each other. Human behavior is we got greed and fear, that are constantly in battle. And I'm always worried about, hey, what happens? What are you going to do that messes up your behavior, that derails your financial decision making? I think dollar cost averaging of large sums of money to your personal situation will really help mitigate a lot of that self, harm exposure that you might have as an investor.
I gotta be honest, I got nothing to add to that.
Oh man,
I was gonna say the last thing about behavior.
I'm sorry,
like 80%. I think it was 80% of personal finance is behavior, but you nailed it. I'm just gonna toss them up and you knock them out. I love that.